Hi and welcome to another repaint video. I'm not much of an intro person and I probably should work on that, but for now let's dive into this little project, a coniferous tree inspired doll. I used Nefera as a base, I heat the head with my blow dryer before I detach it. Then I cut the hair close to the scalp. I love Nefera's teal colored hair, but it had to go, it was way too much glue in it, so unfortunately I couldn't save it for future projects either. I've been low on imagination lately, there's been a lot of things going on, and even though they are good things, it takes me out of my headspace. Hence, it took a while to finish her, but now I'm back in the game again. After cutting it, I scrape it out of the plugs with a flat screwdriver. I tried using pliers for this on my first custom, but I somehow scratched the face and ruined everything. Then I made an incision and take the rest of the hair out. When you've spent a couple of years in this hobby, nothing phases you anymore. It's like not until you reach outside of the community that one might feel that it's weird. I try to embrace it though, we're all odd. Prepping the body means scraping off seams. I like doing this more than I should. Then I use 100% acetone to erase the face. I did save the color on the scalp because she's getting green hair, so why not? I like her face mold. I'm not going to follow her eye shape completely though. To erase the tattoo, I felt brave and used acetone first. It does melt the plastic, so it's a risky business, but then you can use sandpaper and buff the rest off. Time for the first layer. After a base of Mr. Supeclear, I sketch the eye shape and do all the base drawing. I am using red for the waterline and black for the top part of the eye. I think I'll try using light pink next time on the waterline, giving a softer expression. I'll try that out. I named this doll Tjikko because that's the name of the third oldest tree in the world. Technically it's a naturally occurred clone, but the DNA is 9,550 years old, so yeah, it still counts in my opinion. Here I started on the facial tattoo. I made spruce branches and worked on them in every layer to make them visible. In the end though, they are mostly hidden by the hair, so that it might have been overkill, but I like it, it's like a secret. Then I went in with blue pastels to shade the face. I usually don't use black to shade, but I wanted to give her a smoky eye. Her lips were teal before and I decided to give her green lips, but more to the yellow side than blue. Then some blush on the nose and cheeks before I save the progress and move on to the next layer. At the second layer, I do the same thing all over again to build colors. Besides that, I give her some thin eyelashes and gothic eyebrows. I did say I wanted to make her a punk rocker, but I listened to Love Crave while working on her and well, I kind of strayed from the concept. Here I go in with some light green and create the needles. My pencil looks super blunt, but I draw with its edge and manage to make them super thin. Then, before spraying with MSC, I give her some heavier blushing. The third layer, more color building. Here I go in with blue pastels inside the eyes, it makes a huge difference. If you're a customizer and find it hard making fine lines, try giving the surface a layer of pastels. It provides the pencil with some more texture to grab onto. Here I'm scraping off some dust that was beneath the sealant. Sometimes that happens, but it's super easy to scrape it off. Now it's time for some acrylics. I use a flow aid instead of water. I think it mixes better with acrylics, or it's just a placebo and I'm wasting my money, I don't know. Just as with the green pencils, I first paint with regular green before mixing it with yellow to make it brighter. I am creating layers with different shades of green. I like painting white around the pupil to make the iris pop, it reminds me of those circle lamps. Finally, I can put the head back on. I'm pleased with the result. Nefera has a pretty good moving range on her head, by the way, which is nice. I tried out matching my yarn with spruce and I was a little bit disappointed. It didn't match that well, it needed some more grey and yellow to it, but I decided to use it anyway, so I made some yarn wefts out of it. I love making wefts, especially when my creativity is lacking. I guess it's like doing the dishes for some people. It's a routine thing, doesn't need much thinking, perfect when you want to craft but not create, if it makes sense. It might be just me though. Part of why I am a bit distracted lately is because I'm getting a puppy. It's been half a year since Kiwi passed away and I have too much love to give to be without a dog. So in around 3 weeks I'm going to get this little girl that I named Katla. Expect some sneaky puppy content soon. While the wefts dried, I gave Tjikko a buzz cut in the back of her head, but instead of flocking I used landscape grass. I'm going for an A-cut with the back of her head shaved. So cool, I love it. Then I can peel off the wefts and use them. I always make more than I need, making wefts is like cooking pasta. I missed showing it, but I painted the scalp a more forest green before I started gluing hair onto her. I glue hair until I close all the gaps, then I let it dry before I glue another weft facing the wrong way. The intention is to let that dry, then flip it over and heat set it with my iron like this. Then I do the same thing to the other side. Finally, when that is dried completely, I can comb it and cut it. Like with Lynn, I wanted to give her a headpiece. I used some pieces of this spruce-like thing and glued them into a cluster with my glue gun. It got some hair and some chains too. Looks pretty cool. I attached it onto her head with a pin. This metal wire is one used for making oboe reeds. I rarely play nowadays and I never make my reeds. Life is hard enough. But I use this wire to make some spiders. If you're scared of spiders, I guess you should stop watching now. I use black gutta to make them 3D, but it should have worked better and faster with a glue gun. Lesson learned. Instead I had to go back and refill the shape. Then I painted them with silver and black paint. I also added some red and yellow markings. I did cut the gutta a little bit afterward, but I think they look pretty cool. Next is clothes. As usual, I make my pattern by using cling foil and masking tape. Then I transfer it onto paper for future use before I trace it onto fabric. I use fabric glue before hemming the arms, collar and, well, the hem. I'm not sure I'm getting all the words right. This is how it looks before sewing. I hemmed the seams and sewed the ones under the arms. I also added Velcro for the back part of the top. Then I made a corset pattern and did the same thing. This time I added some decorative seams though. The skirt part is just a raggy rectangle shape. I wanted it asymmetrical and random. I cut out a hole and then cut a line for the back. Then I sewed it onto the bottom part of the corset and sewed it shut. Like with Lynn's dress, I decided to add the green spruce wire thing at the bottom of the dress, but before sewing that I added eyelets to the corset part. The store where I bought this tool doesn't have it anymore, and some people have asked what it is. It's like a handheld eyelet tool, and I have no idea what to search for in English to find something similar. If you know, please leave a comment. After adding the wire, the skirt looked like a tent, so I bent it in a better shape. Much better. Next is decorations. I added this black thing to the top part of the corset before putting the skirt on the doll. Then I cut out some root-shaped fall leather strips. Those I glued directly onto the skirt with super glue. To weather them a bit, I painted with watered-down acrylics. I wanted the surface of her legs to look like a tree, so I used a Crackle effect varnish. First I messed up and I had to redo it because I didn't use enough water to my acrylic, but the second time around you could see the cracks and it looked super cool. To clean it up a bit, I used more fall leather. Then I added my spiders. They look so cute. I also added some nail art spikes. If you're looking for craft supplies in miniature size, look for the nail artists. They have all kinds of stuff in miniature. The headdress was a bit boring, so I decorated it with a spike ball. Then I glued some grass on some spots. Since the arms were going to show and all, I painted them to make them more realistic. A little bit goes a long way. After studying my hand, I realized my fingertips are a bit red, so I added some red pastels. As a final touch, I used nail art stickers to give her some tattoos. I cut them out and add them to water. After a minute of soaking, they're ready to be transferred onto the doll. It can be tricky, but you can move them around pretty well if you add a bit of water. After adding them and letting them dry, I used Mr. Supeclear to make them matte like the rest of the doll. That concluded my deciduous and coniferous tree project. It was fun creating them, looking at nature for some inspiration, and work on some colors that I usually don't use. Green is such a happy color. I wanted to thank my Patreons. Familiars are incoming soon, and I am so looking forward to making them for you people. So this is what I started with, and this is the result. She is so cool. I even managed to take photos outside this time, the weather was perfect. The day after I had some muscle pain and I was wondering what I had done to earn that. Then I was like, oh yeah, I was taking doll photos yesterday. So yeah, those who know, they know. The top part is pretty short, and that was intentional, by the way. It's like a super cropped crop top. I hope you enjoyed watching the process. The next custom is probably my favorite so far, and I hope you'll like that one too. Until next time, bye!